Hello, good evening. It is 6:49, and I am looking at NQ, looking at this huge move upwards that we had today. If you watched my trade recap from this morning, I took a short at market open, or just after market open rather, down and took a continuation trade. And as I was taking this continuation trade, I did have the thought that I wanted to flip, and I didn't. Which I think is one of those moments where I kind of neglected my gut a bit. I knew that the market was reversing. I knew to take my profits. I knew that there would probably be an okay place to flip, and I did not. So I think that that was a good learning lesson for me to make sure to kind of follow my gut in those moments. As long as I'm making solid decisions, there's no reason to not follow my gut on that. So I did miss on capitalizing that giant move upwards, but it did hit our levels that we drew. So I want to talk about that real quick. I'm going to remove everything that's not useful to us, but we're on our 180-day 4-hour just like normal, but pretty much all of our charting is going to stay the same. I will go over it briefly. So we have an upwards trend line here. We have a downwards trend line here. I have a fib here. I've marked these fibs in green because they were above our current price action. I am now going to edit those, and I'm going to mark them gray because this is where price currently is. I do that way I'm not mixing up two fibs. I have this upward fib here on this move up. I'm now going to turn these red because it's below price action. Again, that's just me making sure that I'm not mixing my fibs up. And then I have one more set of fibs, and that's on this downward move right here. This is our, between these two downward moves, we have fib confluence making us, giving us a double trouble level, as I like to call it. Essentially what that means is if you look at these two fibs here, which this is your top fib and this is your bottom fib, they match up, the bottom fibs match up. So we have this level here near this 19,200 level in there that we hit today. And we also busted through a key level, basically old resistance turning support, and we have absolutely busted through that level. So we are now headed to the upside, and so far in this, in the price action that I've seen so far today at market open, we're down 24 points, but I'm still pretty long focused. I'm going to zoom in for you guys just so you can see what I'm seeing. But to me, this looks like a good pullback, and it's going to be continuation long. Now, I'm not just going to make that assumption. I'm definitely going to wait for some price to develop a bit, but I would not be opposed to an early entry. Generally, I don't like to take any entries prior to like 7:30-ish, because that's, I think, normally when we see a good direction. See, I like that we're pretty much moving. We haven't broken this low, and this is on the 5-minute, and we're pretty much moving still off of this trend line. Of course, yes, we've trailed off because we hit kind of that area of consolidation. That being said, I mean, we really have not broken any of these lows, and if we do end up breaking any of these lows, then of course I'd be a little bit more short biased. But I kind of just want to get out of this range in order for us to see some direction. So if I'm zooming way in and I grab my price level tool, this here, let's see, where was our opening candle? Opening candle was right here. We've got sort of this low and these two highs. Let's see what this range is. 268 to 226. So we're almost smack dab in the middle of that now. I'm going to wait, see how price action develops. I am going to put an alert on this guy here. And we're just going to say crosses. And I'm going to draw our little guy here for an early warning to the upside. And let's just see this. I'm not necessarily going to keep this on my chart. I just want to see how we're trending. With this being, I don't know. Part of me wants to set an alert that's a little bit closer so I have a little bit more warning. So I think I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to come up here and I'm going to set it, if I'm looking at this like an uptrend, we have a low, I'm going to set it right here. Ooh. And I know I don't have to create a price level to make an alert, but I like to have them that way. Just crosses. I hope that's not too loud. My husband has been weed whacking. Okay, so I am setting these alerts. I'm not going to set this one because I'll likely be here before that. But I do have 2 on the downside here just in case. Although, again, I am pretty long biased right now. And the 10-minute, I think, reflects that even more because we are sort of just trending up in fairly bullish candles. Okay, if we look at the 10-minute here, I'm really zoomed in just to this little zone, but you can tell that, you know, this is a pretty bullish candle already. We did have a doji here on the 10, excuse me, and we appear to continue to be pushing up. I really like this long. Man, I really like it long. Let's see, my risk level, if I were to take it long right now, would be this 23474. Okay, I'm zoomed way in here on the 5-minute. And I'm just looking at what would be a feasible risk level if I were to take an entry right now and how much I want to let this breathe. Again, we've kind of assessed our range here. I'm not really comfortable with putting my stop all the way down here. We're at 226 to 247. Actually, that's not bad at all. I'm going to wait for this candle to close, and I'm going to see how she closes. As long as it closes bullish and does not reverse here, I am really thinking long biased for the evening. I don't prefer to take entries prior to usually 7:30. That being said, if this is as clear as, if it develops as clear as I am thinking it will, then I would be happy to take an entry earlier. Hi. Okay, it is 7:10. So at this very moment, I am still long biased. Now that might sound crazy, but every single uptrend or every single downtrend is going to have a pullback. Doesn't matter whether they're tiny pullbacks or larger pullbacks. If we're in an uptrend here, then we have made a low, a higher low, and now a higher low. And if we continue pushing up here and breach this level, this, to me, could be a good entry long. So I'll hop back in if I end up taking an entry. If it breaks short, this also is not a bad entry as far as entering short. I'm looking for the best risk to reward. Now, we never, in my style of trading, I never really know what my reward is going to be. So I just have to keep my risk as manageable as possible for my account. That way, if I'm being, if I end up getting stopped out 10 trades in a row, which statistically is probably not going to happen. But if I end up doing that, I want to be able to still manage that with my account. So that's kind of where my risk to reward process or thinking process goes, because I'm not super worried about my reward when I'm entering a trade. I'm worried about price action. I'm worried about what the chart is telling me. Not how much money I'm going to make. I could make negative money on it. It doesn't change the execution or the requirement to execute as per my strategy and my rules. This is an early entry. Trying to get a little bit faster at my execution. I see this forming here. I see this forming here. And hopefully we can get a break above this for some more confirmation. But that's my current thoughts. That's currently what I'm saying. And I have entered and I'm letting it breathe, but I'm not opposed to closing it and re-entering if I need to. Okay, we took that early entry. We are above our entry currently. But as you can see, we did trail above our entry pretty good, and then we tapped this trend line. So currently I am in the process of putting a trade alert out because we still have not hit our levels that we marked quite yet, and I will be back. Okay, I did move my stop up here. Since we had this perfect double bottom now, it doesn't look like it on this chart, but if you look at NQ, it does. I realize that part of the reason why I don't ever put my stops to the tick is because NQ and MNQ move slightly different. So I don't want to stop myself out by being to the tick when I don't need to be. So I did not move this stop up to where my price level was on my chart until just now because we had a perfect double bottom on NQ. Now I can move my stop up. I'm still one solid point away from where that double bottom is, so I'm not too worried about it. Plus, since it is a double bottom, I really wouldn't be willing to risk more than that. This next candle has pushed up nicely, just kind of waiting to see how things play out here. I'm not too worried about the fact that we broke this trend line here, but I am just still waiting to see kind of how things play out. If possible, I could potentially take a second entry if we get a really good move to the upside, just barring we have enough volatility tonight. Okay, it looks like we could be breaking our level here, and if we do, I would not be opposed to reversing my position. Let's look at that 3 minute. You know, these candles are getting interesting. It's 8:03. Usually we do see some volatility at 8. We are currently in profit. This is kind of what I'm looking at here on the 5 minute. I'm going to move in a time frame and just see if there is something solid that I like to put my stop at. Otherwise, it looks like here could be a solid pullback. I'm hoping that this is not just the start of a new trend, meaning that this would be starting a trend line. I'm hoping that that is not the case, so I'm just kind of waiting and seeing. I really want to breach this level of 93-ish. Again, if you hover over a candle in NinjaTrader and click your scroll button, you can see your data. And our high on that was 93.50. Yeah, so I want to get above this 93 level. And at that point, I would feel really secure to just kind of go to bed and leave it. That being said, let's move in a time frame and see if there's anything solid. I like this right here. Solid little pullback there. We had a move up. We had a 61 to 50. We had about 11 point pullback there, and then we shot right back up. So I'm liking that as a place to put my stop, especially because we are looking a little bit bearish here. I'm not saying we're completely going to reverse or anything, but judging by what happened yesterday, I'm just trying to stay fluid and make sure that I am not giving away too much of my profits, but also staying in through pullbacks and that kind of thing. So this is where we're at right now, and I am going to hop back in if I change my stop. If not, I'll see you guys in the morning. Good morning. It is currently 8:30. I'm not trading at the moment because of the news coming out. I'll look closer to 10, but I did take 2 additional entries after I hopped off of the camera last night. So one of them was a huge mistake, and the other one I got stopped out of at 4:10 in the morning. I woke up at 1:15 and I was $115 in profit, and I was stopped almost to the tick at 4:15. So let's go through all of this and talk about it, and I definitely know what I will do next time to do better. So our original entry was here at 19,244.25. I took this at about 19.18 last night, and I got stopped out because I had moved my stop up here just below this recent low. I liked the fact that this was kind of an 11-point pullback, so I moved my stop here. I ended up getting stopped out on this candle here down at like 20.57. I then started looking short because I was worried that I was being too one-sided. I did take a short on a large flush candle. It did not go well, and I ended up closing that position pretty quickly. At one point, I had a loss for the day of like $6, and that was after the $8 gain that I got from being stopped out the first time. So this ended up being a loss that put me in the red $6. So after that, I'm watching all of this and looking, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to flip right here. I reversed my position, and I let her breathe to have this stop here, and it went really well. I was in pretty dang good profits. We really trailed up for a while, and then this is where I got stopped out. So I had waited a while for some price action to develop so that I could move my stop up. And as price action developed, I moved my stop right below this low here, as you can see, and I ended up getting stopped out. This is also why I try to not be to the tick too much, because I think that sometimes when you are to the tick, this is how you end up getting stopped out. In this video, you can see how my original stop on my original entry, price action came literally right to it, almost kissed it, and then reversed. This is where I'm honing in, placing my stop losses in areas that are going to be most feasible for the trend and for price action. So anyhow, I looked to take an entry this morning. I did not take an entry this morning because it was about 450 and I did not see a solid risk to reward, and I just did not like how price action was trailing down so much. And then I saw this here, this high at 212. We have a high at 330, and then we had this high at 524. So once I got home from the gym and I was looking at this, I was like, yeah, I'm thinking we might start downtrending here. Or today could, the rest of this pre-market session could be a little bit of a pullback for a bigger bull run after news, or we could completely reverse direction. Either way, I just wanted to go over those mistakes that I made, especially on that short trade. But all in all, I'm still in profit. I still have a profit of $17.28. Again, I'm not focused on the amount or the money itself. All I'm focused on is whether or not I am managing my account and my risk properly and following my process and my strategy to a T. Again, y'all have any questions, you feel free to reach out to me, and I would be happy to help in any way I can.